The approval of the resolution is a milestone for the Global South countries that have struggled with the existing international tax policies. It addresses the disequilibrium in the international financial architecture, providing a platform for a more inclusive and effective system.
International tax architecture, particularly the emerging issues where the Africa group voted on unpacking the UN Framework Convention on International Tax Cooperation. In the past, we've had a number of standards, policy guidelines that have been provided by the OECD, but some of them are not inclusive, they're unequitable, and have been exploited and used by the multinational companies to take away our tax revenue from the developing countries. So we believe that the UN Core Framework Convention on International Tax Cooperation will provide us with a better ground for even developing countries to give their proposals to really address some of the tax issues that we are faced with, issues around the digital economy, issues around tax avoidance.
Fred Muhumuza, principal economist and development research analyst, outlines how some nations leverage agreements such as Uganda's double tax agreement and the OECD inadvertently leading to substantial losses in international tax revenue due to unfavorable tax conditions.
And the experience we've been having is Mauritius. So a company is really a European company, but registers in Mauritius and comes to Uganda as if it is originating from Mauritius. And then it knows, possibly because Uganda has a double taxation agreement with Mauritius, which literally means don't tax companies that are originating from here because I'm taxing them that side. But if any company comes from your side and comes to me, we will not tax it. That has been the tradition. But now we have these other companies that are leveraging global internet systems, doing businesses in different places, and they are very hard to tax. Now, the OECD had come up with an arrangement on how do we tax these companies that operate across country multinationals. And they came up with their framework, but literally which African countries and other Global South members felt was only still serving the interests of the North. So they decided to come up with a framework within the UN framework that would allow them to engage a better system, better than the one for OECD, because they felt the one for OECD is not favoring them.
What has been happening is that the international tax space did not have specific rules that govern how countries are supposed to tax internationally. So the OECD has so far been dominating this space where the OECD would come up with rules that then countries would adopt either in their domestic laws or adopt on a global level to be able to tax multinationals and to be able to tax the international tax space. So what the UN resolved is that as the UN, they want to come up with a framework convention on international taxation so that countries are able to adopt it to be able to tax internationally. So today with the Satini, we've been discussing how we can be able to fit within that convention, what it means for Uganda, because Uganda voted for the convention, what it means for Uganda, and what it means for the world as a whole, and the international tax space when this convention is actually developed, when the ad hoc committee finishes its work, and we actually have a UN convention that serves the interests of all member countries as regards international taxation.
For Africa and the Global South, the path forward involves fostering effective collaboration, building capacity, engaging in consultations and information sharing. As Fred Muhumuza suggests, Uganda may have come to realize that it is only at the beginning of this crucial conversation.
Not yet in place. Now the discussions are, how do we put this convention in place? How tight should it be? Will it hold entities accountable? These are issues that are not clear out there, and of course the discussion here was raising some of the concerns. Before I know whom I'm taxing, I'm supposed to receive and access the information. But can I have the same rights of accessing information? That is an issue that is out there. And they are worried to give you the information because they are not sure of whether we'll keep that information to the privacy levels that are required and only use it for the right purposes. So one thing that has come out of this meeting is we still have more work to do on our side in order to engage the Global North. If we are to come up with a system that allows you to tax, for example, Uber, everybody uses Uber, but Uber is registered in the Netherlands. So where do I find it to tax? Do I know how many people move on Uber? Do I know how much it earns? These are really the issues we are asking. Okay, if Uber makes a profit of $1 million, how much of this should go to the Netherlands? How much of it should come to Uganda? These are the conversations we want to have, and we've just realized we are at the beginning of the conversation.
But when we were renegotiating that clause, we came out with a good win, courtesy of a consultation we made on the side with civil society. Gave us some good information, which when we presented to the Dutch, they were surprised and immediately conceded. So consultations are high priority for the Ministry of Finance. We are only going to keep going on and on and on.
The International Tax Supervisor from Uganda Revenue Authority anticipates that the UN Convention framework should become operational within a maximum time frame of 5 years following the convening of the 77th meeting.
Resolution, 48 countries, including, of course, the major countries like Canada, US, UK, did not vote for the resolution. And, of course, 9 countries decided to abstain. But this is what it means. If the UN is able to push this to the next level, if the ad hoc committee is able to come up with a convention that is developed by the UN, then it means that African countries that have been left out mostly by the rules that are developed by the developed countries will be able to find a way in which they can fit within the international taxation space and be able to get more revenue, especially from exchange of information, from rules that favor the African countries, from rules that are easy and simplify the work of tax administrations in low developed countries. If the UN is unable to go ahead, what it signifies then is we are left with the current rules. The current rules developed by the OECD. Not all of them are very bad for us. Some of them have actually supported tax collection up to this particular stage. But that is what we'll have to deal with if we are not able to get a framework developed by the UN.